Following a fatal border confrontation 2 years ago, India now faces a new geopolitical reality, in which China is an obvious and persistent opponent. And the political relationship between India and Pakistan is now defined by antagonism and distrust, and the LAC will remain militarized and deadly. Infrastructure is China's greatest strength in the Tibet Autonomous Region. It consists of a rail link from the mainland to Lhasa, numerous airfields, multiple roads of entry from the hinterland to forward locations, logistical strength, and a seamless supply chain. This allows for the deployment of a large number of formations, including mechanized, motorized, artillery, army aviation, engineers, air defense, rocket forces, communication and surveillance units. Is India doing anything to counter China? Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, directed the Border Roads Organization to upgrade its capacity with cutting-edge technology for quicker infrastructure development in border areas. The government's dedication to the nation's security and the development of border regions is shown in the 40% increase in the capital budget for the Border Road Organization for 2022-2023 to 3,500 crore rupees. In response to China, which is conducting exercise across the border in Tibet, during an ongoing military standoff between the two sides, since May 2020, the Indian Air Force is conducting a significant exercise, including Rafale and Su-30s in the Ladakh region. The Indian side is increasingly using night flying as a result of Chinese fighter planes scouring areas close to the disputed zones in eastern Ladakh. On one instance, in late June at around 4 a.m., Indian fighter planes replied as Chinese fighter jets neared a disputed zone. The Ladakh region is the site of the drill, and Rafales and Su-30s have been flying additional sorties there. Notably, the present training session will improve the IAF's capacity to conduct air operations in places like Ladakh during the border confrontation with China. Sources claim that, despite the People's Liberation Army Air Force activating its air defense system and engaging in a significant exercise with its combat aircraft, fighter aircraft from the air bases of Leh and Tuas have been flying more frequently over the past few days, including Rafales and Su-30 MKIs. Additionally, India has greatly increased its night and day monitoring along the line of actual control. A sizable fleet of medium-altitude, long-endurance Heron drones, produced in Israel, are continuously monitoring the LAC. Effective deterrence is the key to peace. During the 73-day military standoff at Doklam in 2017, India's deterrence by denial approach proved effective in halting China's road and infrastructure construction in Bhutanese territory. But only because China was caught off guard by India's force mobilization when it attempted to undermine India's control of the Siliguri corridor, which links India's northeastern states to the rest of the nation. The IAF is essential to India's offensive preparations against China. A deterrence by punishment posture would retain India's capacity to impose severe costs that much outweigh the advantages of offensive action by China. IAF is in an excellent position, with roughly 25 airfields that can begin operations against China. China has 3 airfields nearby eastern Ladakh and around 8 in Tibet. In Xinjiang, there will soon be another. As opposed to the PLA Air Force, which must fly and take off from bases at extremely high altitudes, the Indian Air Force can take off from the plains and quickly reach the hilly area. The extraordinarily high altitude is a barrier to the modernization of the infrastructure. The IAF will have the capacity to launch a lot more missions. For a very long time, Pakistan's border was the focal point of India's military resources and infrastructure. Both the location of assets and the development of the infrastructure are rapidly changing. While border links and roadways are being renovated, the IAF has updated its advanced landing grounds close to the China border. China knows that, and is trying to overcome it with its new radar and surface-to-air missile deployments. China is using its missile arsenal to either pursue a deterrence by denial or deterrence by punishment policy against the IAF, while being aware of the supremacy of the Indian Air Force along the border. Given the dominance of the IAF, India is better equipped to use a deterrence through punishment policy to force China to return to the pre-crisis situation. while deterrence by denial seeks to prevent China from expanding along the LAC. Deterrence by punishment seeks to increase the cost for China by threatening to engage the PLA in combat, destroy, and limit its ability to wage war. Several strategic analysts predict that standoff weaponry would be utilized in any future conflict to keep Indian fighters on the ground. Because of the LAC's distance from air bases and the vulnerability of the PLA's surface-to-air missile sites to the standoff air-to-ground missiles of Indian aircraft, the IAF's response to any attack is quicker than that of the PLA Air Force. The collected artillery, rockets, and troop concentrations on the Tibetan desert, where there is little natural cover for these systems, become visible once air defense missile systems are destroyed. Even though IAF has been progressively modernizing, more has to be done. This is especially true, given that India faces a dual threat from strong foes. The IAF's inability to retire its MiG-21s exemplified the stymied modernization of its fighter fleet. It now operates 33 fighter squadrons, against a sanctioned strength of 42, and has been undersized for several years. Delayed procurement and manufacturing process for domestic equipment have left the Air Force short-handed. China and Pakistan may undoubtedly capitalize on this chance. There is a mismatch between the defense industry's concept of fighter aircraft and the Air Force's objectives. However, things are changing, and they are changing quickly. The Tejas Mark II is a step in the right direction, especially given that the Air Force was involved in the project from the start.